Okay, we are now recording. Thanks, folks. I can see that you're signing in, which is awesome. And I'm going to share my screen one more time here. Okay, welcome. I'm Susan Berry. I'm the Health Education, Health Promotion Coordinator here at the Maine Department of Education and the chair of the Maine School Site Health Promotion Program, which has been in place for 35 years here at the department, supporting staff and student health and wellness in the districts. This is the Wellness Team Action Plans for Success webinar or video meeting. Let's see if I can get it to work here. There we go. And just want to give you, let you know who else is going to be joining us today, and then talk a little bit about the etiquette in case you've not done a video meeting, although I think everybody on here has been on one before. But also with us, we have Stacy Vanna, who is on the planning committee for the School Site Health Promotion Program, and Mike Booth, who is also on the planning committee. And I believe Tom Nash will be joining us very soon as well. Also joining in a few minutes will be George Manning and Murray Banks, who are keynote presenters for our Winter Wellness Summit. And they'll have a brief message for us interwoven into our presentation today. Then if I could, since we have a small group, have folks introduce themselves. Let's start with you, Sarah, and just share with us who you are, what district or agency you represent, and are you on a wellness team? Are you new or a veteran? Want to go first, Sarah?
Hi everyone, I'm Sarah Bridges. I'm a community health coordinator at Healthy Acadia in Ellsworth, and I work on tobacco and obesity prevention in Hancock County.
Thanks for joining us, Sarah.
Yeah, thank you.
And Mike, are you available to unmute? Might have stepped away. How about you, Larry? You're unmuted, but I don't hear you, Larry. Is your computer maybe?
I bet that's me. This is George.
Oh, hi, George. Are you under Larry today?
Well, I think I'm using Larry's computer.
Okay.
And, but it's good that I can see you. Can you see me?
I cannot see you right now. So what you want to do is hover over the bottom of your screen and click on Start Video.
It says stop video now. Should I click on stop video?
Nope. But I'm not seeing you, but that's okay.
It says start video.
There you go. No, that's Mary. You just moved. That's on me. I'm just looking real quick. Yeah, in theory, do you have a camera on that computer? I'm going to mute you for a minute, George, while I keep introducing people.
Okay.
Okay. Jill, I'm sorry. Jill, are you able to introduce yourself? She may have stepped away. Mary, how about you? And welcome, Mary. You have to unmute yourself. Hold on. You're unmute. Oh, there we go. Okay.
Can you hear me?
I can now, yes.
Oh, good. All right. So my name is Mary Booth, and I'm the health coordinator for SAD 75. We're Topsom, Bowdoin, Bodenham, and Harpswell.
Great. And since you didn't hear, I was asking folks to share if they are veterans or new, and obviously you're a veteran with a team in your district.
Yes.
So great, Mary. Thanks for joining us. Jill, are you there now?
Well, I see you. I just got introduced to Mary, and I think I see Stacy. I put the cursor over the bottom, like you said, and it says stop video.
I'm thinking you might not have a camera, George, on that computer.
The same computer I used before, so there is camera.
Then I'm not sure.
Well, me neither.
But we can hear you, so that'll be okay.
Sure.
That'll be fine. All right. Now, Jill. Jill, are you with us? All right. Keep going down. Joanne? No. How about Lindsay? I think it's Lindsay Strout. Maybe it's not.
It is. Yep.
It is.
Hi, everybody. I actually took a day off from school today, feeling kind of icky, but I figured I could join you guys. It's only my second day off ever, so that's not bad.
That is very good.
But yeah, so I work at Sanford High School. This is my first year teaching science there, and I'm excited to learn. And fingers crossed, I'm able to join you guys in January.
Great. Someone was just asking me about Sanford, and so I just wrote that down so I can tell them your name. I got to remember who it was that was asking me.
Absolutely. Send them along my way.
I will. All right, Cassie, you want to introduce yourself, Cassie? Oh, hold on a second. Got to unmute you.
Got
There
it. Casey Marcotte from Let's Go York County. And there is a Cassie that I work with. So I had to wait a minute because I didn't know if she was on here too.
She is on here too, but that's
Okay.
fine, Casey. I'm glad that you introduced yourself. All right. And now is Cassie available?
This is Jill. Can you hear me?
Oh, Jill's on now. Okay, great. Go
Yeah,
ahead, Jill.
I couldn't quite figure out which button to push. I was here and I thought you were hearing me, but I guess you weren't.
Okay, go ahead, Jill.
I'm the woodworking teacher at Paths, and I have been on committees like this before. Right now, I'm the only one at my school.
All right, and can you tell people what PATHS is?
Oh, Paths is Portland Arts and Technology High School. It's a CTE in Portland, and we have students who come from, I think, 20 sending schools, so we have a lot of people with a lot of different things going on.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, how about you, Cassie? I can unmute you, Cassie. No, I cannot unmute you. Okay. So, all right, if you get a chance to hop on, Cassie, that would be great. All right, we're going to go ahead and continue on. Outcomes of this video meeting we're having today is that we're going to share information on how to develop an action plan for a school site health promotion and wellness team. We're going to review components of that action plan, provide some examples of strategies, do some talking back and forth about some potential strategies and components, and what are some key pieces that you need to have in your action plan for it to be successful. Because a successful employee wellness program begins by establishing a vision and mission. We're going to look at that, and it's focused on healthy staff, healthy students, positive, safe, healthy working and learning environments. And so we will be looking at those areas. We'll be talking about the 6 dimensions of wellness. And we're also going to look at it in terms of different areas that we want to focus on. And Stacy, at any time you want to jump in, or Mike, feel free to do that. I included in this slide deck today the definition of a school-based employee wellness program that comes from the CDC. I included it in our last webinar as well. It is a comprehensive set of programs, policies, and benefits, and environmental supports that address various risk factors such as lack of physical activity, unhealthy dietary habits, stress management, tobacco, etc. So it's a nice overall definition of employee wellness. And I think it's important to note that the Affordable Care Act considers employee wellness programs to be a vital component of an effective healthcare system. So it's good information to be able to share with your colleagues and administrators. I also stuck in a slide this time on the 6 dimensions of wellness, because I mentioned we focused on that in our action planning. So we have occupational, physical, social, mental, spiritual, and emotional. This is the National Wellness Institute's 6 dimensions of wellness. As I spoke with somebody earlier, you could have 5, you can have 7. I even have seen one that has 15 dimensions of wellness, but we really like the 6 dimensions. And we think it's important for folks to see this because it helps you to have a balanced action plan that you're looking at various areas of your wellness, not just heavy on the physical or the mental, but also the saying we need some social, we need some occupational, again, making sure you're looking at that. In addition, I wanted to reiterate that employee wellness is a component of the CDC and ASCD, which is the Association for Superintendents and Curriculum Coordinators, that the WISC model, the whole school, whole community, whole child model, is a framework that the Maine DOE supports for promoting health and academic success in schools. And you can see from the red circle, employee wellness is part of that. Got to catch up on my notes here to make sure I don't miss anything. The CDC also has a wonderful website, and I encourage you to visit it. I have shown some folks the website before. It's a Virtual Healthy Schools website. And on the Virtual Healthy Schools website, they have a teacher's lounge that defines what employee wellness is for a school. And this is the definition that they have if you hover over their teacher lounge. But it talks about schools are not only places of learning for students, but they are also work sites, and we need to take care of the employees, their physical, mental, social, emotional health, so that you can be protected at school and then support and help your students with their health and academic success. Healthy school employees are more productive, less likely to be absent, and also serve as powerful role models because the kids watch and see what you're doing. And schools can create a work environment that supports healthy habits, be it healthy eating, being more active, reducing stress, etc. Welcome, Tom. And a comprehensive school employee wellness approach is also coordinated. It has programs, it addresses policies, it looks at what are the benefits available to staff, and the environmental supports. It will address multiple risk factors and also look at the health and safety needs of its employees. And it should be a partnership between the school districts, the staff, the health insurance providers, and community as well. And your employers are going to be interested in a wellness program because it truly can improve the bottom line of the district, because health insurance costs are the #1 cost of a school district, the premium cost. Mike, do you want to add anything to that, if you're available? Mike Booth works for MEA Benefits Trust, so his job is all about helping schools look at the impact of wellness on their insurance costs. So awesome resource for us. All right. Welcome, Erica. I'm just muting a couple of folks for that background noise. I also stuck this slide in from the first video meeting because it's important that as you're developing an action plan in your district, that you're paying attention to the benefits that will be the outcomes of the work that you do. So the impact of doing what you do on these various areas, and you want to be able to articulate that to your administration and to the folks that are supporting your program. So as a reference for you and a resource, I put it in this slide as well. All right, so we're going to start talking now about the action plan. And if I can have folks unmute to answer the question, what is the purpose of an action plan? Anybody want to weigh in on the purpose of an action plan?
I would say an action plan is so that you're all moving in the same direction and you can stay on track.
Great, it does help keep you focused and moving in the same direction. I love it, very good.
Hey, Susan, can you hear me?
I can, George, yes.
Okay, I just heard somebody really smart.
Sorry,
And
I
I don't
couldn't
know
quite
if
hear
I'm
you.
being
Could you please
heard
repeat what you
or
said?
not, but I can see you. Can you see me?
I cannot see you, I'm afraid.
I have no idea how to make that happen. So the good part is I can see you, and I heard somebody really smart just say something.
Okay, excellent.
Thanks.
All right. Okay, some others who could share a purpose of an action plan.
Can you hear me, Susan?
Yes.
Cassie, okay. I think because coming from a Let's Go perspective, we do similar with our sites, and just being able to outline goals, and have a way of assigning tasks to get to that goal, just having some sort of outline of how to move forward with something, and really kind of see the vision. I think that's what's important.
Excellent, excellent. It does help you with that visioning piece of it and to be task oriented in getting, so you're not spinning circles. Great. Others who have a purpose, can you tell us what the purpose of an action plan is? Well, a few I have some notes here, so I'm going to add a few in there. It is a great way of communicating what your team is doing to an audience, and I'm going to demonstrate that for you in a little bit. It helps you to organize your thoughts and ideas. It also can keep you accountable. If you start to get off track, it can bring you back to, wait a minute, we said we were going to do this. And it shows that it can be a very good way to demonstrate and show the impact and change that's made as a result of what you're doing. So just a few other pieces. I will share a sheet that I have. I can show it to you here. I'm going to be posting that on the website after. It has some good information that you can share with others as well.
Susan, I can
Yes.
chime in here a little bit too, if that's okay. This is Casey Vanna. I'm over at Brunswick High School. And I know for us, we've got 21 people on our high school wellness team alone. And so Susan talked about the fact that it's a good communication tool by being able to even put it in, we put it in a shared Google Drive. And it allows different people who are spearheading different initiatives to be able to go in there and make modifications. And then the other thing, and my guess is just with working with people all over the place on this and other school districts is, you know, we all get so excited about all these different things, and then there become spin-offs. And Susan had talked about it really organizes our thoughts. It is so easy for all of us to kind of put our time and energy into an area that might not be on the action plan. So it'll keep honing us in. And then the other thing that has been a wonderful benefit is it allows for that delegation. So that, and it's so typical for all of us, right? We want to get things done. We really genuinely from our heart want to be able to participate. We can see the vision in the moment and we say yes to everything and then realize, oh my goodness, I can't do all of this. And I think my predecessor, she was an amazing woman and she did a lot. And I was like, I can't fill her shoes. There's no way. So having the action plan has actually, as the team leader, given me that opportunity to have other people step up and really they feel good about what they're doing and I feel really great about what they're doing. So a lot of benefits.
Great. And it does. And I do feel that an action plan is a fluid document. So once you establish your action plan, it's not that the team can't revisit it to change something if something comes along, but you can also say, great, but we agreed to do this much. So what are we going to take off of the action plan and put on till later if we're going to add something new? So it can help regulate that time or do time management. So great, Stacy. Thank you so much. So the action plan template that we're going to look at is the one that was created for the Maine School Site Health Promotion Program. And this is the guidance page, the front cover page. And just to let you all know, I've already attached it to the website and you'll have that information in an email I'll send out when I do the evaluations, but you can go and download this template at that time if you don't already have it. Just to highlight what the guidance talks about is that an action plan is a working document that outlines a team's purpose, its outcomes, and how they will get there and how they're going to attain that. It should be a clear picture of what the team plans to accomplish and could be shared with anyone, such as your administrators, your school board members. We highly recommend presentations to them. And if you come with an action plan to show them, very impressive that they can see clearly what it is you're going to do. And other folks to say, well, what does that wellness team do? If you have an action plan you can share, That's very helpful. And when developing the action plan, it's important to look at that balance of what you're addressing, so that you, and the way we've designed the template that you're going to see helps you to look at that balance, that you're not doing all one thing and not focusing on a variety of things. Because you want to engage a lot of different people across the district. And also some pieces that sometimes don't get put in the action plan but are important, that you want to embed in them: team development, team structure, how are you going to maintain the team. That's actually part of an action plan, to say we're going to add 3 new people to our team so that we have representation in all buildings across the district. That can be an action step that you take underneath the systems change piece. All right, and you can see, I've already talked about the 6 dimensions, but we also have these 3 focus areas: policies and systems, climate and culture, health promotion, and personal wellness. You can change those. Those are the ones that we put in that we felt we wanted people to make sure they address, but you could choose to make up a 4th or 5th one, divide them out, or change them.
Susan, can you
Yes.
hear?
Yes.
Just because you mention it now, I want to remind you to remind them, and I'll remind them, that the school superintendents and the boards had an annual meeting devoted to climate and culture. And they know that the wellness folks care about that and can help with them, the superintendents, with climate and culture. I just see a tremendous opportunity for the wellness people to help the superintendents. They'll welcome them with open arms, I believe, on climate and culture.
And thank you, George, for bringing that up. And absolutely, it's great if you could go to the superintendent and say, I understand you have an action plan around this. We want to know how we can help you with that. This is what we have planned, and you have that actual template to share with them and show them.
Perfect.
Great, thank you, George. Now, one of those areas that is important is to have data to drive your action plan and your action planning. And sometimes people will go, oh, data, I don't like data. I would encourage you to embrace data as a tool that can help you. It can help you to not only develop your action plan, but get to your outcomes and be able to show people that this is how what the change is. And it's not all around numbers. There are different types of data and different ways of showing that improvement. So you want to pinpoint, So data allows you to pinpoint your health concerns, to find out what would satisfy employee interest. It also can help to get people on board with wellness. It'll provide a baseline for you to measure your change. You need to know where you're starting to know how much of a change you made. And it also can help move an employee wellness program from just being activity-centered to being results-oriented. Looking back to that slide that I showed you about the benefits of a wellness team are to get to reducing absenteeism, increasing health concerns, etc. So interest data. You might have focus groups. You might have individual interviews with people or groups of people. Simple surveys. You want to keep them very succinct. Don't want to ask too many questions and too lengthy if you're surveying. Open-ended email questions to get a response back on an item, or you might talk at staff meetings or different types of meetings. And I would ask you, what are some other ways that you might collect interest data? Anybody? How else would you find out what people want and need? Anybody? All right, I must have covered all of them. Next one is needs data. And this is a little bit more of the numbers and health assessment data that you can collect that says, wow, our health risk appraisals or health screening data shows us we have, 20% of our staff are pre-diabetes or diabetes. We should be looking at doing something or putting in place some practices that would help these folks and help to reduce that number. Absenteeism, you might look at your absenteeism data among staff and say, wow, look, we have a spike in absenteeism around these 3 time periods in the school year. What can we do to help reduce that number and have people more present instead of out? So there, you can use your data that way. Other thoughts on the needs data? What other types of needs data there might be? All right. Well, I'm going to bring back George Manning now. And George, I'm going to unmute you. I just did that. And George, he's unable to get his video to work, but he's going to talk to you a little bit about his presentation and the connection to action planning that he'll be doing at the January 31st Maine School Winter Wellness Summit. So George.
I had the chance to talk to the group who attended the last Zoom meeting to preview what the subjects would be. And we saw a little complimentary video on Toby Keith and Clint Eastwood. And but one of the main things I said was my programming on Friday is supposed to be current. It's supposed to be personalized for the audience, and it's supposed to be real useful for them in their wellness year, in their wellness groups, to be effective in wellness for their schools. So the more applied, so to speak, the better, the way I see that Friday. So there will be handouts, and there will be media, PowerPoints, and so on that will be given and provided to the participants for their use, each in their own artful way. So it's meant to be real back at the school applied. We are going to feature the subject of good teamwork on those committees. Murray and I think, on the night between sessions, we'll be having something on the subject of working together works and positive versus negative group member roles and the profile of a dream group committee. So it's going to be an opportunity for attendees to have a good that subject dealt with that evening. I wish I could. I only one I get to see is Stacy and you, Susan, but there's Cassie and other names on the board there, and I don't think you could see me, but I'm looking forward to physically seeing everybody when the conference gets here on Thursday, especially Murray. I'm looking forward to seeing and working with Murray. So I'll say over and out and give it back to you, Susan.
All right. Thanks, George. And we're looking forward to having you there, George. I've been working with George on his materials, and he has so many different materials that he's going to provide and hand to you, work that he has done over the years. And you're going to be able to take it and easily translate it into mini workshops that you might do in a lunch and learn or an after-school presentation, which is very, very exciting to have that. And I appreciate that. And actually, George and I are meeting next week to finalize his materials for the summit. And just because I think it'll work out right now, Murray, can you come in?
Hi.
And I'm going to say, ask to start your video, Murray. There
I'm on.
it is. And I
Ta-da!
think I'll go ahead and have you start now. How are you doing, Murray?
So I'm doing really good because I just finished skiing. I coach a master ski group on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So I was going to shoot this on my phone, but it's snowing and blowing outside. So I hurried home quick. Sorry for the
We
late
didn't
one.
count on that, did we?
Yeah. No. So I still have my ski jacket and everything on. Hey, I just want to talk about 3 quick things. Because I've been speaking at these summits or wellness conferences for 36 years now, and worked a lot with action planning teams from schools and corporations, business organizations. And so I want to talk a little bit about what makes a successful team. So after being at wellness conferences and summits for 30 some years, the most successful ones have these things in common. First, 3 things: team makeup, action planning, and how I'm going to cover that in my keynote. First is the team makeup. What I found is the more diverse the team is, the different elements of an organization that come together, the more success they have. If it's just a small group of people that have a lot in common, they have a less chance of a success. If you incorporate a variety of different people, for example, from a school district, as a former health and physical education specialist, I can't imagine a wellness team without a health and physical education professional on the crew. They should be the movers and shakers and drivers. This is their thing. We wouldn't change our math curriculum without a math teacher, and I just think they should be integral. Finding the right one is key. Social workers, psychologists, guidance counselors, food service people, a school administrator. And what I found is a school administrator who pulls the purse strings is really helpful. Assistant superintendent, principal, assistant principal. When you get decision makers and movers and shakers involved, it's a lot easier to implement things that you have to jump through a lot of hoops to do without them. With them, they can jump through the hoops and make it easier. A school board member, because eventually when it comes time to generating money or programming time, it's really helpful if you have a school board member on board helping to drive this train. So a diverse group is really important. And then this is a tough one, but I feel an energetic group, people who are really energetic and enthusiastic. The problem with that is the people who are energetic and enthusiastic and cheerful and optimistic are the ones who get asked to do everything. And so we want them, but they're probably busy doing many things. But I find that people that are energetic and enthusiastic bring a level of can-do to a conference, to an action planning team at a summit like this. And the third, okay, now sit down, hold your hats for this one. I think it's really important to involve at least one very cynical colleague on your team. A negative whiner would be helpful, but certainly cynical. And I know you're thinking, what? We don't want to work with those people. People who are cynical, who complain, who whine, often do so because they're never involved in making things better. It's easier to complain. I've always found, wow, gosh, I'm something along the lines of, wow, gosh, I can see you're really concerned about this, or you have an opinion on this, or this upsets you or concerns you. Hey, how about being on our action planning team? To which they will say, oh, no, I'm not doing that stuff. That stuff never works. Don't let up. If you get a cynical colleague on your team, you can often get them to turn around their attitude because you've asked them to be involved in making things better. In any organization, the people who drag the energy out of all the other people are the cynics, and nobody asks them to be involved. So look around, find out who's sucking energy out of your staff meetings, out of your staff room where people eat lunch, and ask them to be involved and tell them that you think they have some ideas that would contribute. So that would be team makeup. Second thing, action planning. Start small, plan for growth. quite often you get to a summit like this, you spend 2 days together. The keynotes are fun and lively, energetic. You're motivated. You go back and you want to do numerous things. And there's a lot of room for failure when you try to do too much. So when you're at the conference and you have a lot of energy and ideas coming at you and a lot of excitement about what you can do, start small and plan for growth in your goals within your action plan. One example of that, in a staff meeting, ask if you can have a 1 or 2 minute wellness moment where at every staff meeting, you have 1 or 2 minutes where someone on the wellness team presents some interesting little tidbit about wellness, and you call it the wellness moment. Many schools, many organizations, corporations, businesses, government agencies are moving away from staff meetings and moving a lot more toward electronic communication. Create your wellness moment so it can be included in an electronic meeting or an email or a text or however communication is done. Have a wellness moment. It's always coming at them. It's something soft, it's gentle, it's minute, but they're numerous and they're all the time. Then when you say we have an activity coming up, they'll know who it's coming from, and they'll have numerous small little thoughts that they can therefore jump off from. We know who these people are. We get all these wellness moments from them. Think, evolve, adapt, flex, grow. That's the second thing with an action plan. Think of these words. We're always evolving, adapting, flexing, growing. We don't have a set action plan. We attack it, we go for it, and then something goes wrong, doesn't pan out, we lose interest, we lose momentum, and it piddles out. Always adapting and adjusting and evolving. Third thing, try to connect the action plan to the mission and vision of your organization. So it's a lot easier to get administrators, executives, managers, school board members to buy in if we can connect the goals of our action plan to the mission and vision of the school or the organization. So look at the mission and vision, pick out key places where you think you could bring your action plan to it, and you'll get more buy-in from senior levels of management and leadership if you can do that. Here's how my keynote is going to help do that. I know. In my keynote, I'm going to draw a very direct connection between mental well-being and its impact on culture, climate, morale, and if you want to break that down into smaller words, spirit, energy, collaboration, working together, wanting to show up every day, cheerfulness, optimism, is that there's a direct relationship between your mental well-being and your ability to engage students, if you're a teacher, colleagues, if you're whatever your position is, and most importantly, if you have any leadership responsibility at all, your mental well-being. And I don't just mean the absence of mental health. And when I think of mental well-being, I think of your ability to solve problems, be optimistic, bring enthusiasm, cheerfulness into a situation. And then second, I want to draw a connection in my keynote between your physical well-being and your mental health. I'm going to ask you in the keynote, how many of you have ever felt really miserable, but grabbed yourself and got outdoors to do something, came back and felt better than before you went out? So I'll draw that connection between physical well-being and your mental well-being. And then finally, in every keynote I do to any organization on any topic, there's always something about adapting to change, your adaptability to change. And I'll come at it from two directions. One is dealing with, I'll use the word stress, dealing with challenges, stress, crises in our lives, and how we adapt to that. And then just as importantly, how we bring creativity, imagination, and flexibility to everything we do. because we can't always get it the way we want. So we have to have an imagination and creativity to get at it. And then in the team building, hold on to your hats. It's going to be fun. We're going to do things that you can do with your colleagues back at work, but mostly it's going to be a lot of fun interacting with people and going, wow, I never thought about somebody thinking that way. And that'll be a good time after dinner, after a day full of workshops.
All right, great.
See you in Maine.
All right, Murray, thank you very much. We'll see you in about 6 weeks.
Yeah, as a former Vermonter, hang on, I'm out in Colorado right now, but let me see if I get this right before I get there. Well, by God, see you right out there at the Samoset, eh?
Not too bad. Thank you, Murray. Have fun with the rest of the next class you have. So, all right. Well, that was a great opportunity to hear from both George and Murray about their keynotes and their connection to action planning and helping us move forward. They're both going to be engaging us on Thursday night with team building and bringing 2 different perspectives around team building that'll be helpful tools and resources that you can all use. But as you heard from them, action planning is a key to doing that. We have some new folks that have joined us since we signed in. So if you can go to the chat box and just write your name and your district or organization, I would really appreciate that. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen again so you can see back to the PowerPoint. All right, get my slide thing going here. Okay, so going back to the action planning, this is the summary sheet. And you heard Murray talking about vision and mission statements and school improvement plans, connecting what you're doing with what the school district's doing. We think it's very important, the planning committee, that your team have its own vision and mission statement. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that. So a vision statement typically is 1 sentence that states or describes clearly and in an inspirational way what you plan to do in the long run. It's what you're reaching for. One of the best ones I ever heard was a tobacco-free program 25, 30 years ago there with kids, and their vision statement was to have a world without tobacco. Lofty, big, but that's what they were reaching for with everything that they did. So the vision statement is, what are you reaching for? Your mission statement is more a description of why you're doing what you're doing and how you're going to get at and work towards achieving that vision. So in terms of thinking about, I've just shared a couple of examples of vision statements. For instance, here's one that says, an educational setting that supports healthy lifestyle choices by valuing individual health and creating a supportive environment for working and learning. This is one I Googled vision statements for wellness programs, and this was an example of one that came up. Could also say to improve the health and well-being of SAU 100 employees through health education and activities, environmental structures, culture, and climate that support healthy lifestyles, thereby resulting in improved employee productivity, morale, healthcare cost savings for the district. Now that's a long one, but that's another example that I found. Do any of you have vision statements already that you would like to share? Tom, are you still with us? Excuse me. Looks like he had to hop off. I know that Wyndham has a vision statement, but something that to think about. Why are you doing what you're doing? And again, linking it to your district's action, school improvement plan or strategy, just strategic plans. And then for mission statements, I listed several here. Mission of our wellness committee is to establish and maintain a workplace that encourages environmental and social support for a healthy lifestyle, creating healthy bodies, minds, and futures. Sometimes it's hard to distinguish between a mission statement and a vision statement. I don't get too hung up on that. The idea is, why are we doing what we're doing? I have embedded a couple of different links under here and in the resources that can share some with you as you create your own. Does anybody want to add anything to that? One thing I will say is it takes time. It generally is not a 30-minute activity. It could take a couple of meetings, but you can spend a little time on it and come back to it 2 or 3 times as you narrow down what you're looking for. In addition, on the summary sheet, we have the goals and the outcomes. And as I pointed out, there are the 3 areas that we have chosen to put on the template here. Oops, page is upside down. So policy and systems change would be the first area. And what you want to do with all of the areas is look for reasonable and doable. I've heard from a couple of folks already saying, make sure that you don't take on too much. So the action planning template helps you to do that. And you may start out with a lot, and then you narrow it down. There are different ways to go through that process. But can I ask, what are some examples or potential action items that you might put under policy and systems change? Looking for 1 or 2 examples that a wellness team might take on. So Let's Go folks should have one of these for me. Nobody? Well, I do. I of course have some examples. So maybe you decide under policy and systems change that you want to make sure employee wellness is part of the district's wellness policy. You look at it, it's not explicitly there. You want to get it put in there. And sample wellness policies do have employee health promotion as part of them. So then you would say, okay, we want to have that. So what is the evidence used to measure the outcome or to say that we did this? So how would you know if it becomes part of the wellness policy? Anybody? What would your evidence be? Cassie?
Just thinking, I mean, if it was in the policy, like in their wellness policy, that it, I don't.
That you're exactly right, Cassie. If it's in writing in the policy.
Yeah, if it's approved by the board, and yeah, so.
Exactly. Yeah. If somebody's just talking about it, that's not the same as it actually being written into and then approved by the district to say, yeah, this is important and we're putting it in paper and going to have this. And then you can talk about, so what impact would that then have on the overall wellness policy? All right, great. Another potential policy or systems change. So that's a policy one. What would be a systems change that a wellness team might take on? Any ideas on that one? Well, an example that I wrote down would be that you might want to have refillable water systems in all of your school buildings. So you want kids to have access to water, good water at all times. So that's a systems that you're looking for all the schools to say, this is important, we're going to put this in place. And what would your evidence be?
The water bottle filling station, and how many, and it has a counter so you can tell how many kids are using it.
Oh, I love that even better. Excellent. I didn't know, Cassie, that you could do that.
Oh yeah, as long as they don't malfunction, it's great. Yeah.
That is super to be able to do that, so you can show that your investment is definitely worthwhile. So great. So you can see those, they're just a couple of examples. Now let's go to the climate and culture goals. What might you have as a goal or that you're looking to, or change you want to make in climate or culture?
Healthy classroom celebrations.
There we go. So and that's a great example that shows it's a connection to policy, but it really is about changing the culture of how we do business on a regular basis. So perfect. So you have the healthy snack policies and healthy parties. How would you, what evidence would you be looking for to measure that?
I mean, the only thing I can think of, it's not, I don't know if it's really evidence, but a lot of teachers will do sign-ups for a healthy celebration, or they'll, or just a celebration at all, and they'll include healthy and options on there, so you can see, so parents can sign up, and then they can see like what was brought, I guess, from that. But that's only
Absolutely, sure. You can have a tracking system set up, because if this is a goal that you have, you can ask for that tracking system, that sign up system, and be able to report out, this is what we did. And this would be an example of where you would have some subjective data that would say, we did this and we observed that the majority of our kids ate the healthy foods first and the sweets last. That's what we look for, right?
right. Yeah, right.
Yeah, and I could tweak that same principle and put it into an adult staff goal, which would be to change the snacks and offerings at staff meetings or in-service days to be at least 50% healthy choices to sweets and unhealthy choices. So you could translate that into something for the staff as well. And one of the rationale, and sometimes you need to say, well, why are you doing this? And the rationale can be, well, we have this pre-diabetes and diabetes statistics that are telling us we have folks that shouldn't have all the sugar and high carbs. We need to put healthy choices in front of them to help them out. So that could be part of that impact summary. Great. Yes, somebody.
Susan, I was going to throw another, like, climate and culture. One of our action plan goals in that area is just to give you guys a little bit of background, and I'm sure it's common in other buildings too. We have a lot of people who eat through their lunch. And it's created this culture of like, we're work, and we're not attending to our own self-care in a variety of ways when we do that. So we've been working hard as a staff to come together at lunchtime, whether you call it lunch bunch, whether you call it whatever it may be, but just making that conscious effort to, for people to get up, go to a common area, connect with other people, try to keep shop talk out of it, and just, be there for knowing that if there's a need for support or processing, you've established connections outside of your department. No, it's been really great. And that's part of that, creating a new climate and culture with our staffs.
Absolutely. Great examples.
I wanted to second what Stacy said. We just started doing that this year, and it's made a huge difference. We never really had a place to be together and eat, and so we just found a place. And today we just had a really good time, so it's a good example of that.
Super. And to help measure that, you can do a survey, a quick 1 to 3 questions out to the staff so that you have some data to report back that in doing this is the outcome. So you don't want to forget that piece, so you can have the stories and tell the story with using data and stories in both. All right, excellent. So I don't even have to give you guys any more examples on that one. And how about the, keep hitting that, the health promotion and personal wellness? What would be some examples there? This is the area that usually has the most items in it. And sometimes you have to kind of say, whoa, what can we actually realistically do? But what are some health promotion and personal wellness? Which, again, what you were just talking about with lunch doubles within here. That really is personal wellness as well as culture and climate change.
A lot of the staff here have been doing the online health to do that. And so we were talking about that, comparing our points and, talking about how we're tracking our healthy habits.
Excellent. And that's a great example of taking an existing program and you just slot it into your action plan. And much of the planning work's already done. Another example?
Oh, no, I was thinking that to go off of that on life, as a Let's Go coordinator, I've been working with a lot of school districts, and I'm noticing, or I'm seeing that there's a lot of staff that have no idea about on life, and that they can get, I think it's like, what is it, $250 just for doing a lot of what they're already doing, and they have no idea that it even exists. So part of one of my districts are actually creating a goal around just communicating and promoting that to staff, because, and seeing how many they can get to enroll. So I think that's huge, because yeah, it's like, it's just kind of free money for most of them who are already, you know, have their own routines with exercise and personal wellness.
So it helps to maintain some of that and then maybe move the needle for some other people. Absolutely, that's great. And you're gonna have data. It clearly generates the data. And your districts are gonna say, oh good, we're paying for this. People are using it more. And that's what they want to have happen. So that's a win-win-win all the way around. And Mike, I'm sure paid you to say that.
No, we didn't. I'm learning out more and more about. It's like I'm hearing every district wellness meeting I'm going to just recently, and they're like, "Oh yeah, did you hear about On Life?" I'm like, "Does not. No one seems to know about this." So I'm like, so that's kind of going to become part of their, you know, some of their goals just for this year. So
perfect. And that's what we like. We keep putting it out because people pick it up at different times.
Yep.
I'm being conscious of the time. We only have a few minutes left. We've covered some of the stuff I had ahead already, which is great. But I do want to make sure, and thank you all for sharing. That was wonderful and good examples. So if you go to the next 3 pages that in the template, when you get that, you're going to see that there's a page for each one of the areas. So here's policies and systems change. Oops, I'm going the wrong way. Here's climate and culture, and health promotion and personal wellness. So each has an area for putting your strategy and your activities, identifying the wellness dimensions or dimension, who's responsible. Now, who's responsible is the person taking the lead, but not doing all the work. And I can't emphasize that enough. It's just the person that says, I'll shepherd that project through along with other people that are going to help me with it. What are your resources that you need? Might be money, might be items. What's the timeline that you want to do it? What's the time frame? Or when do you want to complete the event, depending on what it is? How are you going to measure it? What's the evidence that tells you we did it, we were successful, or we did it and we weren't successful? And sometimes that's the reality. And then the impact. What is, as a result of doing this, what's the impact on that you have? I.e., a school does a weight loss program or a healthy eating program, and so the impact might be people feel better, people lose weight, people's numbers get better, just as an example. So this is a great way to track what you're doing, and if you're filling up pages of this, whoa, you really need to stop and say, how much can we really do? If you have 21 people, you could do more. If you have 3 people, you want to cut it back a little bit more. All right. I'd like to also just share quickly, and you'll be able to look at these slides, that when you're doing the health promotion and wellness, personal wellness, you want to think about it in terms of awareness, education, and behavior change. So the awareness is providing health information, getting information out there, telling people about the On Life Health, putting out messages around diabetes and diabetes control. It's different ways of sharing information. It's just health tips. Murray talked about that wellness moment at each one of your staff meetings, getting information out there, using Facebook groups. The next one is about education. That's taking it up a notch, giving more concrete information, things, tools that people can use to improve their wellness. And then you have behavior change. That's that we're going to get together as a group and we're going to work together on a challenge, or we're going to attend a class on diabetes control, different things that you can do individually or together, and again, the incentive campaigns to help change behavior. And we already had Murray. I like this quote or statement, so I put it in for you, that population-oriented programs and policies that include preventative versus reactive employee wellness programs yield on average 26% reduction in healthcare costs. Your administrators want to hear that. We pretty much have covered all of these places. Not as much around communication, and it's really important that you think about how are you communicating your action plan out to the field, what you're doing. How are you marketing your action plan? Many teams over the years have had a logo. They branded their wellness team. That's a great thing to do. And as I said, that could be a goal. Some of these are the goals that you do. These resources are some of the same ones that I shared in the last PowerPoint, but also I've added a few to it that you can go to, and that'll be shared on the website and lots of different things. So any questions? Just unmute if you have any questions or additional statements that you would like to share, things you'd like to say. Stacy, you have any last words of wisdom for us?
Use the action plan. I can't emphasize it enough. I mean, first of all, if you're a type A, you really like organization or delegation, bam, you know, you've got it made right there. It is an incredible tool. And it's really funny when I've had conversations with people who were like, oh my gosh, we do all this stuff, but we've never put it into an action plan. It just makes their vision and the work they're doing a lot easier, manageable, and clearer for them. And again, it goes back to what Susan was saying, that it speaks to administration on a whole nother level. Like the action plan does the work for you when you're trying to get the support, the funding, the time, whatever it may be. You kind of rise up as like, wow, they really got their act together and we can support this in so many ways. So use it, and always reach out if you need help too.
I love the idea you can check things off of an action plan too. Tom, you've got some last words you'd like to share as well?
I just echo what someone said earlier about not trying to bite off too much and being realistic with your action plan, because that's the worst thing that can happen to a team, is that you want to enthusiastically spread the word about wellness, but then you look at your action plan and there's no way that those that have dedicated their time to that, they can actually get that stuff done. And then I think it can be a sure way of not getting anything done. So don't overwhelm yourselves. Be realistic, and bite off only a little bit here and there, and get some successes that you can build upon. So that's my advice.
And if you have things you're like, oh, I don't want to take that off, don't take it off. Just move it forward to do at another time. So, all right, thank you, Stacy and Tom. And Mary, you put your camera on, so I'm thinking you want to say something, Mary. Was I right or was I wrong?
She said wrong, but she's muted, so.
I'm trying to unmute you. I'll let you unmute you.
Little microphone down the bottom left-hand corner.
Can't get it to unmute, Mary. Well, thank you. Anybody else have any last words? I'll let you know that I will be sending out an email to folks, but on the website, if you go to the website, the same one that you registered for the January event and it had information on this, that I will have the PDF for the action plan is there, as well as recordings of the last video meeting, and this video meeting will be there. So you'll have that to utilize. And other than that, we certainly hope to see as many of you as possible, if not all of you, at the January 30 and 31st Winter Wellness Summit at the Samset Resort, which is going to have lots of great potential programs and resources that can be added to an action plan now and later. And I know what Murray and what George are bringing, and they're going to be just a plethora of tools and resources that you can utilize in your district and with your teams. And bring a friend. Don't come along alone. Bring a friend with you. So, all right. Well, thank you all very much. I appreciate you being here. And you should be looking for an email from me with an evaluation for both of the events, and you can complete the one that you attended or both, and the resources as well. Tom, thank you. Stacy, thank you. And everyone else, I'm glad to have you on with us, and have a wonderful holiday season.
Be well, everyone.
Thanks,
Yes.
everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh, and Mike too. Thank you, Mike. You're right there.